Trump held his first cabinet meeting with all of his people. He had Elon Musk there talking about the government waste, and he took a lot of different questions. And I thought that this would be a good conversation to have, making sure that we cover everything. Let me make sure I'm on the YouTube Premium. I don't want to be on that dusty. So this is Trump basically having a conversation with people and showcasing everything and being very available to the public, and having this conversation about, you know, what he has going in the government, and when in his first cabinet meeting with everybody that he's appointed. All right, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
If you could get up and explain where you are, how you're doing, and how much we're cutting, and it's an honor to have you. He's been a tremendously successful guy. He's really working so hard, and he's got businesses to run. And in many ways, they say, "How do you do this?" And you know, he's sacrificing a lot and getting a lot of praise, I'll tell you. But he's also getting hit, and we would expect that, and that's the way it works. So I'd like to
let me stop here, y'all. Before we even get into the cabinet meeting, let me say this, and we're gonna come back to this. You know how I know the way that I break this down, right? Because you're talking about Trump, you're talking about Elon Musk, you're talking about two guys that were largely beloved before they became public enemy number one from the people of other countries, as well as the people inside of the United States of America. And it's the most disappointing when I see liberals and people from the United States of America hating on Elon Musk and Trump, because again, both of these guys were hugely beloved before they became political. What's going on, babe? You cool? Okay. Both of these guys were crazy loved before they became advocates for the United States of America. I'm not even going to say political, before they became advocates for the United States of America. Now, anybody like me, Tesla is no longer in my portfolio, largely because, and a lot of you that's a part of Stock Club and a part of the Patreon, you know that Tesla's not any longer a part of my portfolio, because I understand the political implications that come along with doing a thing that's in the best interest of America. It used to be where if you were a huge advocate of America, that you would be celebrated by all the American people. You create an American company, you create American jobs, you put America first. It's no longer that way. We have so many ops, and we've been so deconstructed and pre-programmed from our liberal universities to our social media presences, that now to be pro-America or American first means that you now become an enemy of Black women, an enemy of Black people, an enemy of migrants, an enemy of people outside of the United States of America, an enemy of the sassy LGBTQ community, an enemy of DEI, an enemy of Roland Martin, an enemy of everybody, right? And so you've basically divided yourself, and half the country is going to hate you. Half the country is going to hate you. Now, to get back to my point, the way that you know that a person is a true patriot is they put the country before their business interests. Because you'll have people like Bernie Sanders and these raging liberals on TikTok and Instagram, and they'll say stuff like, they're just trying to make themselves richer. Do you not realize, and this is how dumb, how stupid the people that are pulling the purse strings inside of Congress and the people that are on TikTok whining and voting based off of their own emotions and Kamala Harris and all of that, do you not realize that it would be 10 times more profitable for Donald Trump and Elon Musk to never get involved in politics at all? Elon Musk's net worth is directly tied to the performance of his companies. There is no government contract that could ever make Tesla a $1 trillion company. That comes directly from subscriptions, selling cars, technology, and continuing to sell a product that people want to buy. So the stock price, the share price of Tesla is directly tied to the sentiment of the people. Now, you know that there are people outside of the United States of America and inside of the United States of America that is basically protesting an American company that gives jobs, that has made a bunch of people millionaires. And because they're saying, listen, we need to tackle the federal deficit. We need to make sure that we right size the government. We need to make sure that we're not going bankrupt for our kids and our kids' kids. And he's not even from the United States of America, but he's doing the thing that's in the best interest of the United States of America. That is the level of sacrifice it takes to be a patriot, which is one of the reasons I would not run for office unless I had no business interest whatsoever. Tesla's stock price has retracted so significantly that you cannot even justify or make the argument to say, well, they just want to make themselves richer. How? When they're basically segmenting themselves against half of the country that don't think that they're doing the right thing because they're the ones that are impacted by the layoffs because they're the lazy workers that's a part of the federal government. Trump could have continued to be the admonition of everybody. Everybody loved Trump before he ran for president of the United States of America. People were saying that Elon Musk is a revolutionary. He's the Tony Stark of our time. He's solving for problems and all of this stuff. They loved Tesla and Elon Musk prior to him starting to get political and state his views and to make sure that he bought Twitter in order to put it back in the hands of the people and remove censorship and all of this stuff. Then they start hating him. It's the same thing that I tell you guys when I say, when you label yourselves as a Black-owned business, specifically only catering to Black people, you segment yourself against the majority of the people that could buy your products. So now, in order to not impact my portfolio, I can't be invested in Tesla because even the shareholders and the people that the board of Tesla is trying to rein Elon Musk in from giving his thoughts and his opinions and also participating in right sizing the government so that we don't go bankrupt because it is affecting their portfolio, their net worth. Everything is being impacted. And that's why when Trump says, well, Elon Musk is making one of the ultimate sacrifices, that is the reason why they label him a patriot, is because you're making the sacrifice even at your own expense. You can't give me enough government contracts that would help my net worth to the point to where my Tesla stock and my shares, which is largely tied to my net worth, is being impacted. There's nothing that you can do in a government contract that would ever make me $1 trillion company. It's just facts. It's logic. It's logic. Anyways, let's get to what he had to say in his cabinet meeting.
Have Elon Musk please say a few words.
Well, thank you, Elon. Thank you, Mr. President. I actually just call myself a humble tech support here because this is actually, as crazy as it sounds, that is almost a literal description of the work that the DOGE team is doing, is helping fix the government computer systems. Many of these systems are extremely old. They don't communicate. There are a lot of mistakes in the systems. The software doesn't work. So we are actually tech support. It's ironic, but it's true. The overall goal here with the DOGE team is to help address the enormous deficit. We simply cannot sustain as a country $2 trillion deficits. The interest rates, just the interest on the national debt, now exceeds the Defense Department spending. We spend a lot on the Defense Department, but we're spending like over $1 trillion on interest. If this continues, the country will become de facto bankrupt. It's not an optional thing; it is an essential thing. That's the reason I'm here, and taking a lot of flack and getting a lot of death threats. By the way, and I like to stack them up, you know. But if we don't do this, America will go bankrupt. That's why it has to be done. I'm confident at this point, knock on wood, you know, knock on my wooden head, there's a lot of wood up there, that we can actually find $1 trillion in savings. That would be roughly 15% of the $7 trillion budget. And obviously that can only be done with the support of everyone in this room. And I'd like to thank everyone for your support. Thank you very much. This can only be done with your support. So it's really, DOGE is a support function for the president and for the agencies and departments to help achieve those savings and to effectively find 15% in reduction in fraud and waste.
When y'all argue with people in the chat that clearly don't even know what they're talking about, and listen, I encourage everybody to participate. I don't want to operate in an echo chamber. But if somebody says something like, he's not a citizen, which is a basic fact that you can go and research for yourself, why y'all argue with people? When you argue with people that argue out of ignorance and is not arguing just based off of logic and premise, even if they have a difference of opinion than you, then you make yourself look crazy going back and forth with them. I mean, I encourage it because the more activity in the chat, the more relevant the stream becomes. However, I'm just telling you, a lot of times y'all waste your time arguing with people that don't even know they left from they don't know they left from their right. Seriously. They don't even know why they pay taxes. They don't even know how much they pay in taxes. They don't even know how much they're supposed to get at the end of the year. So a lot of times y'all arguing with people for no reason. Let them live in their own mind. Let them live in their own world. Let them live in their own little bubble of craziness. You know what I'm saying? Just let them rock. But the fact of the matter is, all right, answer me this. Answer me this. How many of you guys would trust Bernie Sanders, Jasmine Crockett, and AOC to fix our federal government? How many of you guys would prefer to give absolute power to the people in Congress to fix the United States of America? What do you think would happen to the United States in the next 20 years? That's the alternative. That's the alternative that y'all arguing for. All of your sons is going to be non-binary. They not going to have no genders. We're going to be in 30 wars. America is going to be bankrupt, and everybody going to be able to come in here and do what they want to do when they want to do it. And they going to sit there still getting paid, sitting on their perch, being protected. That's the alternative. Like, we got to really start breaking this down from a C student's perspective and taking into account what we're asking for. You're asking for the worst people that have already driven us $36 trillion in debt to then take over the United States of America and to listen to their ideas as though we think that they know anything. They don't know anything. They dumb as a box of rocks. They're stupid. They have never opened up a business. They've never done anything. They've never had to right size any company. They've never had to hire anybody. You're talking about a waitress, a lifetime public servant, and Bernie Sanders, and crazy Jasmine Crockett, who was a DEI. And all of the rest of these crazy liberals. Would you trust the country to be in the hands of these raging liberals who won't even call Biden out on his nonsense and went along with the get along with all of the dumb things that they was proposing in this past previous election? Those are the people that you want to have the hands on the buttons. Come on, think about what y'all saying, bro.
And we bring the receipts. So people say like, well, is this real? Just go to DOGE.gov. We line item by line item, we specify each item. So, and I should say, we will make mistakes. We won't be perfect, but when we make a mistake, we'll fix it very quickly. So, for example, with USAID, one of the things we accidentally canceled very briefly was Ebola prevention. I think we all want Ebola prevention. So we restored the Ebola prevention immediately, and there was no interruption. But we do need to move quickly if we're to achieve a $1 trillion deficit reduction in financial year 2026. It requires saving $4 billion per day, every day, from now through the end of September. But we can do it, and we will do it.
Now, I want y'all to realize that when they say shaving $1 trillion, what they are saying is we need to shave that from the budget, from spending that, and that would be yearly. So if we're overspending by $1 trillion, but we find $1 trillion in savings, that's not a one-time thing. That is in perpetuity. That is annually. We would have reduced the amount of money that we're spending. Granted that we don't fall back into the same boat prior to them going through these reductions and finding all of these fraud and all of this other type of stuff and wasteful spending, that if we reduced it over $1 trillion, then that would be annually, which would then be able to be used to pay down a federal deficit, which would reduce the amount we pay in interest. That is what they're saying, that if we find these savings, These are savings that would be continuously implemented inside of our federal government, which would allow for us to have a greater United States of America.
Would you have any questions of Elon while we're on the subject of DOGE? Because we'll finish off with that. And if you would have any questions, please ask. You could ask me or Elon. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Musk. I just wanted to ask you that President Trump put out a Truth Social today saying that everybody in the cabinet was happy with you. I just wondered if you had heard otherwise, and if you had heard anything about members of the cabinet who weren't happy with the way things were going, and if so, what did you do to address those?
I'm willing to show my transcripts. Absolutely a C student. Right up there in the 2 point whatever, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 range.
Any dissatisfaction?
Hey, Elon, let the cabinet speak just for a second.
One time, I remember one semester, I had got like a 3.8. Like I really put my feet to the ground and got a 3.8. And when I got my report card and I showed my mother, because my mother didn't ever check my report card in high school. Once I got into high school, I never had to show no report card or anything like that. And I showed my mom like, yeah, look at me. I really put my feet to the ground. I really did it. And she was like, that is so great. That's what you were supposed to be doing in the first place. And then she went about her day, right? And then I showed my father. He was like, that's awesome. I love that. And nothing in my life changed. Nothing in my life changed. When I got a 3.86, not one thing in my life changed. I think I had got like an honor roll thing or something like that in school. Nothing in my life changed. From that day forward, I said, I'm going to focus all of my energy on running up a bag. I'm going to do what I have to do here. And then on the other side of the fence, I'm going to run up a bag and I'm going to read everything that I can that would actually add value into my life that I can implement in real life. That's my honest to God. That's the honest to God truth. From that day forward, I was like, yeah. I literally went and got a job. I was working, cleaning up a small manufacturing plant that was ran by two brothers. That was across 8 Mile that I was able to walk over to every single day. I went and got a job working at that manufacturing plant. And I would go after school and I would just run up a bag. I was stacking my money and I was trying to figure out how to invest every dime that I can get. I did what I had to do so I could do what I wanted to do. And that was my mindset going forward. I'm saying I'm gonna do what I need to do, but I'm not putting any effort into something that's not going to be fruitful.
Is anybody unhappy with it? If you are, well, throw them out of here. Is anybody unhappy? We have a lot of respect for Elon and that he's doing this, and some disagree a little bit, but I will tell you, for the most part, I think everyone's not only happy, they're thrilled. So go ahead, Elon.
I'm grateful.
And President Trump has put together, I think, the best cabinet ever. Literally. So, I do not give false praise. This is an incredible group of people. I don't think that such a talented team has actually ever been assembled. I think it's literally the best cabinet that the country has ever had. And I think the company should be incredibly appreciative of the people in this room.
Mr. Musk.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. Musk. Are there about half of the government employees so far appear to have responded to your request for what they've been doing over the past week? Is there a timeline in place for next moves for people being fired, and when can people expect to see results of it?
Yes. Well, to be clear, I think that email perhaps was misinterpreted as a performance review, but actually it was a pulse check review. Do you have a pulse? Do you have a pulse and 2 neurons? So if you have a pulse and 2 neurons, you can reply to an email. This is, I think not a high bar, is what I'm saying. This is anyone can accomplish this. But what we are trying to get to the bottom of is we think there are a number of people on the government payroll who are dead, which is probably why they can't respond. And some people who are not real people, like they're literally fictional individuals that are collecting paychecks. Well, somebody's collecting paychecks on a fictional individual. So we're literally trying to figure out are these people real? Are they alive? And can they write email? Which I think is a reasonable expectation for the American public would have at least that expectation of someone in the public sector.
Mr.
I don't understand why people would push back against that. Us in the private sector, we have to make sure that we're always, and when I say always, always reporting out, giving an update. We got to do a self-review. We got to do a self-check. We got to make sure that we submit timesheets that actually help us get more money from the company for our division and our budget, so that we'll actually show that we're adding value and all of this stuff. All they're asking people to do, which they don't even have to give you a reason, all they're asking people to do is to say, hey man, we here, present. And I will tell you that there are so many people, including these lunch ladies on The View, that were so offended. They were so offended that you're getting paid with taxpayer dollars and have to show that you are present on the job or that you can write an email, and they just went off the deep end. Imagine an organization that is so inefficient, it would be bankrupt tomorrow. Imagine an organization that's so inefficient that we don't even know who getting paychecks no more. It's mind-boggling to know or to think that we are living in an age where the government has become one of the biggest employers in the world, that they spend more than they take in. We don't know who's even on payroll or if somebody even exists. And people are getting mad because we're trying to find out who's on payroll, who's not, who just quiet quit and never even turned in their resignation, but they still getting a paycheck every day. And that's your tax dollars, and people are offended as a result of it.
Roughly 1 million employees.
It's not a high bar, guys. Come on.
Roughly 1 million employees have responded so far to this email. Does that mean that the remaining 1 million or so federal employees now risk being terminated? And is it your understanding and expectation when you post a directive on X that the cabinet secretaries will follow that order? Because several agencies have instructed employees that this is voluntary or not to respond.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I guess it was like last week, the president encouraged me via Truth Social and also via phone call to be more aggressive. And I was like, okay, yes, sir, Mr. President, we will indeed do that. The president is the commander in chief. I do what the president asks. And I said, can we send out an email to everyone just saying, what did you get done last week? The president said yes, so it did that. We got a partial response. We're going to send another email. But our goal is not to be capricious or unfair. We want to give people every opportunity to send an email. And the email could simply be, what I'm working on is too sensitive or classified to describe. Like literally just, that would be sufficient. I think this is just common sense.
And what is your target number for how many workers, employees you're looking to cut total?
We wish to keep everyone who is doing a job that is essential and doing that job well. But if the job is not essential or they're not doing the job well, they obviously should not be on the public payroll.
And I agree. I don't think that we need to have any DEI hires. I don't think that we need to just be sending out tax. Remember, y'all, listen, any private company can do what they want to do with their own money, but we're using our money. This is our money. When the police officers respond, they're paying their payroll with your tax dollars. When they buy police cars, when these government employees is walking around feeling entitled, that is our money. Anything that is coming out of the public tax dollars accounts, anything that we have to involuntarily pay for, we should demand accountability from our legislators and our leaders. When you see these leaders get so arrogant to where they feel entitled to do some of the stuff that they're doing, then that is a problem. That is 100% a problem. Again, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.